Look, if you've been watching the markets this week, you already know we're seeing some absolutely massive moves globally. But what's actually driving this surge? Well, today, we're going to break down the dual catalysts behind this incredible momentum. We're talking a historic geopolitical peace agreement on one side and a literally record-shattering tech IPO on the other. It's this fascinating intersection of global politics and major market innovation. And we've got all the data organized for you right here. So let's just dive right in. Here's what's on the agenda for today. First up, that historic US-Iran peace deal. Second, the resulting surge in global markets. Third, SpaceX completely shattering IPO records. And finally, what investors need to be watching next.
All right, Section 1, the historic US-Iran peace deal.
You know, the situation evolved incredibly fast over the weekend. On Sunday, we saw an exchange of fire between Israel and the Tehran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon. And honestly, this raised some immediate questions about whether any diplomatic agreements would actually get across the finish line. But then, late Sunday night, the pivot happened. President Donald Trump took to social media to announce that a deal to end the war with Iran was, quote-unquote, now complete. And to cement the whole shebang, Pakistan Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif confirmed that an official signing ceremony is officially on the books for this coming Friday in Switzerland.
And as part of that Sunday night announcement, a critical economic trigger was pulled. President Trump authorized the reopening of the key Strait of Hormuz passageway. Now, this caused an immediate, massive market reaction. I mean, the second that vital energy artery was confirmed to be reopening, the geopolitical risk premium was pretty much instantly priced out of the energy markets, sending U.S. crude oil prices tumbling a full 5%.
Moving on to Section 2, global markets surge higher. So, U.S. markets absolutely kicked off this holiday-shortened trading week entirely in the green. Just look at the futures tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average. They added a solid 427 points, which is a 0.8% climb. The S&P 500 futures climbed an even stronger 1.2%. But the real standout here, the Nasdaq 100 futures. They popped a massive 2.0%. Tech and growth stocks were literally leading the charge right out of the gate. And you know, the enthusiasm wasn't just contained to the United States, it was genuinely global. Over in Japan, the Nikkei 225 didn't just rise, it surged to a record intraday high, ultimately ending the trading day a full 5% higher. Down in South Korea, the Kospi popped an incredible 5.2%. Even the Hong Kong Hang Seng Index joined the rally, climbing 0.5%. Oh, and over in Europe, the Stoxx 600 gained 0.6%. It's wild to see. A singular geopolitical de-escalation triggered this massive wave of buying across every major global time zone.
Okay, Section 3, SpaceX shatters IPO records.
Because, let's be real, geopolitics isn't the only catalyst driving this optimism, right? A massive tech event bolstered broader market sentiment heading into the weekend. SpaceX achieved a market cap above $2 trillion, officially marking the biggest initial public offering in history. No joke. In their public market debut on Friday, SpaceX shares soared by more than 19%. And the momentum didn't just stop there. In the pre-market on Monday, building off that broader market rally we just talked about, the stock popped another 6%. This isn't just a successful IPO, it's a massive injection of confidence right into the heart of the broader tech sector.
So why does this matter for the rest of the market? Well, Evan Schlossman, principal at Suro Capital, hit the nail on the head here. He points out that a successful SpaceX IPO is a huge positive signal for broader investor interest in innovation. It's a pure reflection of demand. I mean, when investors see a monumental $2 trillion debut like this, it proves there's still a massive appetite out there to put capital into high-growth, innovative companies. It creates this kind of halo effect that lifts up the entire tech index, which is exactly why we saw those Nasdaq futures pop 2% earlier.
Which brings us to Section 4, what investors watch next. Now that the dust is settling a bit, investors are shifting their focus toward domestic economic data. Specifically, they're zeroing in on upcoming reports on the housing market and retail sales. And why's that? Well, because while geopolitics and IPOs are fantastic for sentiment, housing and retail sales give us the hard, concrete data on underlying consumer strength. If the consumer is still out there spending and buying homes, it provides a solid fundamental bedrock for this rally to actually stand on. And of course, no market explainer would be complete without talking about the Fed, right? Investors are closely monitoring the upcoming Federal Reserve policy meeting. According to CME's FedWatch tool, which tracks Fed funds futures, there is an overwhelming 98% probability that this meeting ends with interest rates completely unchanged. The market absolutely loves certainty, and right now, the data suggests absolute certainty that the Fed is just going to stay on the sidelines and hold rates steady. So that leaves us with the ultimate question for the week ahead. With peace deals signed in Switzerland, oil prices dropping, and tech absolutely booming off the back of SpaceX's historic $2 trillion debut, will the upcoming everyday consumer data in housing and retail be enough to keep this massive market rally alive? Sentiment has definitely lit the fire, but it's the economic fundamentals that are going to determine if it keeps burning. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep your eyes peeled for those retail numbers, and I'll catch you next time.